Hey everyone, welcome. Thanks for coming to our webinar between GrownBy and Grapevine Local Food Marketing. This is primarily going to be a Mary space. Mary is the real expert here. My name is Eric Sandard. I'm the Director of Accounts and Partnerships at GrownBy. We're a farmer-owned e-commerce platform. We're a cooperative. Farms like Dan and Sam use GrownBy. This is specifically, though, about a new feature we added to GrownBy of Google Analytics and meta ads. On GrownBy, you can go to your account settings under your farmer dashboard, and under analytics, you can enter a Google Analytics ID or a meta ad ID. And in my very layman's understanding of these services is that basically that connects you into the full suite of services that you could sign up for with either of these companies and assist you in understanding the behavior of people visiting your GrownBy store, products tracking. It allows your ads to convert and connect and all of the stuff with all of those things. And that is why Mary is here, because she knows the word for the stuff and the things. And specifically, I'm really excited. Mary and I worked together to sort of frame this conversation, because there's like a bazillion things you could do with these items and these tools, but like really framing it of why should I use these? My personal opinion is that these companies aren't great and they don't need more of our money. And so this is going to be about, why would I, that trade-off, and then also how could I do this in a way that's free? Because there are good ways to use some of these tools without giving these companies any money. They're collecting this data on your customers anyway. This creating these identification numbers for yourself allows you to see that data and use that data. So this is what I already said about GrownBy and what we're up to. But I do want to call out the QR code on this, and this is being recorded, and this recording will be available after the talk. But this QR code is a link to one of our support desks on GrownBy, one of our support desk articles on GrownBy about step by step how to go get your Google Analytics ID or your Meta ID and then put them into your GrownBy account. So as far as the content here, we're not going to talk about step by step how to get these things. We're going to talk about why or should you get these things and what do you do with it. But that QR code there is a step-by-step guide on how to get it. So I think I've said enough. If you have questions, I'll be monitoring the chat too and helping Mary moderate our conversation today. But I'm going to pass it over to Mary.
Thanks, Eric.
You're
yeah,
welcome.
this is meant for people to pop in with questions as we go. So don't be ashamed to go off mute and raise your hand and ask a question. I think your questions are probably what other people are wondering, so they're really helpful. But otherwise, if you can keep yourself on mute, that will help background noise and all that. And like we said, it's going to be recorded. And Sam has a question already. Or that was an accidental hand raise.
That was an accident, sorry.
Great. Cool. Yeah, so let's jump right into it. So who the heck am I and why am I qualified to talk about this topic? I'm located in upstate New York in the Adirondacks, and I work for a company called Grapevine Local Food Marketing, which is a remote team of 8 women. And we serve farms and food system organizations all across the country. We all have a background in marketing and communications and website development, things like that. And all of our clients are farms and food systems organizations. So we really specialize in how to use the tools of marketing strategically to support our food systems. I personally have been working in marketing for food systems organizations for the last decade, and I've used Google and Meta ads quite a bit. And now I get to work with clients on fun projects like helping them connect with new CSA members and meet new customers using these tools. And I also have a farm, which is right now just starting to wake up. We had about 1 inch of snow yesterday. So my little 1 acre diversified plot of veggies and cut flowers is something that I also hold really near and dear to me. And I can totally relate to Eric's sentiment of why the heck should I give these tools my money? But I think as we talk through it, you will realize that they can be one of those evil necessaries of cultivating the world we want to see, just like greenhouse plastic. So let's dig in. So why should you consider doing Google or Meta ads? There's a lot of people out there who want your advertising dollars for your farm or your organization. Why use these platforms? And I think the thing to think about here is these platforms have all the data of all of our activity that we've done online. So they can target audiences much more effectively than, say, just putting an ad in the newspaper. That being said, what we're putting out there into the world already, maybe through our newsletter or through our social media, it's only a drop in the bucket of what people are seeing. So your farm or your organization is competing against many other corporations for the attention of your potential customer. So I think one thing that farmers especially run into a lot with doing ads is they don't want to be annoying and they don't want to be spammy. But the truth is that people have to see things 7 times before they'll take action. And the data on social media is if you're just posting on social media, only between 1% and 5% of what you're posting is actually reaching one of your followers. And if you're sharing an email newsletter very frequently, that's great. And we always want to see that. That's going to be one of your highest converting marketing opportunities. But depending on your open rate, you might, if you had a 50% open rate, that would be really good. And so that means that what you're putting out there is not reaching its full potential. So ads are a way for us to take the message that you're sharing organically anyways and help you make sure that the right people are seeing it and reach new people that might want to engage with your business. So beyond, kind of ensuring that visibility, the results are super trackable. Eric talked about with the pixel. We can see with Meta and Google Ads exactly which ads created which purchases. So that transfer of data can be really helpful when allocating your budget and calculating ROI. You know exactly how much your dollar brought in. And there's also automations. So Meta ads can do things like keep track of all the people who have liked something on your page over the last year. And then you can use that data to retarget those folks with information about your CSA when it becomes available. So there's a lot of reasons to consider using these kind of 2 advertising platforms for your farm. But I think the main one is just like, this is maybe consider a way to create new connections with people who can become your lifelong customers. Like as farmers, we all have those people who've like supported us from the beginning and are really, really dedicated and show up. And like consider this as a way to help connect with more of those people. So the thing about ads is they're only as good as their destination, right? And they're also only as good as your product offering, your follow through, and your follow up. Ads are not a quick fix way to sell a bunch of product to a cold audience and then forget about it. And they're definitely not a way to try out a new offering that you've never done before. The best way you will make your money on ads is if you have an optimized website already, if you have an engagement plan, which really comes down to email marketing, and you have the logistics dialed in of your offering, which means like, how are you fulfilling orders? Is it happening in a timely fashion? And then a really clear value proposition. Like, do you know how to talk about your offering or your products? Because that is going to really help make your ads more effective. So what the heck is an optimized website? An optimized website really answers super clearly the who, what, why, where, when, how of your farm. Like, why does your farm exist? What do you do? How do you do it? Where can people buy your product? There's really crystal clear calls to action. It's very clear how people can buy or sign up. You know what keywords you're trying to rank for in SEO, which is like CSA in Northern Michigan. And you're actively, creating content that goes for those keywords. What you're saying is consistent, and it's simple and organized, and you have Google Analytics set up. Google Analytics is going to be the piece that ties your ads to the data, to your website. So that pixel that we're talking about, Google Analytics is going to be really key in making use of that pixel. And then the other piece is once someone places an order, what happens? You can have the best ads in the world, but if you have unsatisfied customers when it comes to it, then that's going to reflect poorly on your farm. So you want to make sure that if you're running an ad, for example, like sign up for our email list to be notified of our CSA shares when they go on sale, that when people are signing up for the email list, they get a confirmation email. So they're not wondering, did that go through, or any type of ambiguity is kind of addressed. And so the other two pieces are what happens after they complete their first purchase with you or first action with you. Having an email marketing strategy, especially with automations, is really important. And it helps kind of ensure trust and reliability. When people get an email confirmation, it really solidifies the decision that they made to buy or to sign up. And your value proposition, that's, really understanding what makes your offering a better choice than someone else's. What makes your farm unique? What growing practices are you using that no one else is? Are you the only person that's selling pastured and organic chicken? Or do you solve problems for your audience better than, the big box stores do? Just having an understanding of those things really helps you create ads that are going to convert. And just thinking through the lens of customers. And that's those four things. And I'm curious if anyone has any questions at this point before I keep going. Before we jump into what are the different types of ads. Cool. Well, stop me if you have any questions. So the two type of ads we're going to talk about today are Meta and Google. Meta ads are, under the umbrella platform is Facebook and Instagram. And in their simplest forms, they're ads that are displayed on auction, which means that you are bidding for the space. And Meta's algorithm is going to do a bunch of calculations to decide which ad to display to a customer based on how much you're willing to pay for it, what that customer's interests are, and what their assumption is of your projected performance. So they're going to make some calculations on if they should display your ad to this customer and then display it. That's important because you have a lot of options of how you can target people based on location, user behavior, audience, their age, their life stage, things like that, their interests, their lifestyle habits, and all those kind of factors go into if your ad is shown or not. And there's two types of ads. There's background ads, and then there's boosted posts. And you've probably had Meta breathing down your neck asking you to set up ads or do boosted posts because they're really pushing it because they want the advertising dollars. But background ads are really kind of your long-term gain. You're building a wide funnel of people that might be interested in your farm. And maybe this is like the first time they've heard of your farm. Maybe this is the second time they've heard of your farm, but they've never bought anything from you. You have background ads going for warming up a cold audience. So a cold audience is someone who doesn't really know you. They should know you, but they don't know you. A warm audience is someone who you've already engaged with a little bit. Maybe they already follow you on Facebook. And so background ads are really great for warming up a cold audience, building this big group of people that have heard about your farm once or twice. Whereas boosted posts are more for immediate, traction on something. Maybe you have an event coming up and you want to promote that you're having, an event on the farm, and you just really want to make sure a couple more people come. A boosted post is a really great way to do that. You would use a boosted post to engage or give a call to action to your already warm audience, with just a quick call to action. Like I said, between 1% and 5% of your organic posts are seen by your followers. So boosted posts are really just a way to make sure that your followers are also seeing what you're posting. And meta ads are really the number one goal for number one recommendation for increasing sales. So if you have a really strong website, you have a really strong email marketing program, you've got the logistics dialed in, meta is usually a really strong recommendation that we have for farms. The role meta ads can play for your farm is planting the seed of an idea amongst a audience that is likely to want to act on your farm. So you're targeting people who might like what you're offering and giving them the idea of supporting your farm. Whereas Google ads are more targeting people when they're ready to buy something that is just like your product. So meta ads are more about, creating this idea. And so you can really use them to engage and remind your community. I think a lot of farms we've seen think, everyone in my town already knows about me. Everyone already, I've reached all the customers I can possibly reach with my CSA or my farmer's market or whatever it is. But we've actually found that even farms that believe that and have been, really integral in their community for a long time, meta ads can help give their customers who are already a warm audience, because they've been warming them up for years, calls to action to help them support the farm that they do know about. So it's a way to really ensure you're like fully saturating that local audience, so that if you're thinking, I should go to a farmer's market further away, or maybe I should start doing like a CSA pickup in like a more populated area that's like a 2-hour drive, meta ads are a good way to help you really saturate that local market first. And they're really good for smaller demographics. Google ads are traditionally really good for larger areas, whereas meta ads are good for small geographic zones. You can do larger geographic zones, but I think their power really is in smaller geo targeting. And the good thing about meta ads is that in the background ads versus the boosted posts is that you can do different things with design. Like you can see here, there's some buttons, and sometimes you can have like a carousel of images. I see a lot. So background ads, that's kind of one of their other differentiators, is that you can have different calls to action or design elements than a regular post. Any questions about meta ads before we move on to Google ads? Cool. So that's the main things about meta ads. And then when we're looking at Google ads, like I mentioned, we're really looking at putting your product in front of people who are shopping for your product, making sure that you're showing up when people are searching to buy the thing that you offer or do the thing that you offer. And so Google works a little bit differently. It's pay-per-click, whereas Meta, you pay and per display. Google is pay-per-click. So you can have ads displaying, and if no one clicks on them, you don't pay for them. It also means you can be really strategic in the keywords you're targeting and who you're targeting, to make sure that you're, really only paying for clicks that are most likely to result in purchases. So there's kind of two types of Google ads. There's text ads, like this picture here from Rebel Pastures, where it looks like a regular Google result, but it says sponsored. And then there's shopping ads, where it shows a product photo, a price, and it's under the shopping tab. And I have a photo in the next slide of that. And they both work good, and we've seen they work differently for different clients. And so, the main thing about using Google or Meta ads is really having a willingness to try things out and see how they perform. Everyone's location and target audience and pricing and product is different. So it really does come down to putting something really solid out there and then letting the data show you which is going to work best for you. And yeah, Google ads are, you can narrow them to who you want to see them based on what people are searching. So that's keywords. You can say, I only want to pay for ads when people are searching CSA description Cleveland, or ground beef from grass-fed farms Oakland, or something like that. You can also tailor it to the device type. You might want to say, I only want to target people who are on laptops, because I want to make sure they're not just laying in bed browsing on their phone. And you can also put guidelines around time and location. So you can say, I don't want to show my ads from 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. because that might be just bots and weird traffic, whereas people are actually more likely to buy during the waking hours. So those are kind of the things you can use to narrow down your focus with Google Ads. And when to use them. You can see these photos on the right are the shopping ads. They look a little bit different. They have a photo and a price, which sometimes can be to a farm's advantage and sometimes could not be to a farm's advantage. And yeah, they're a really great way to expand your audience to people after you've saturated your local audience. They're really good for big regional audiences and for really common products. So they work well for things that a lot of people are searching for and buying online anyway. They wouldn't work as well for something really niche that not a lot of people are searching for. And if you're selling something really niche that not a lot of people are searching for, it's likely that you're going to show up in Google for that product anyway. So Google ads are really good cutting through when there's kind of a high competition search landscape, and you want to make sure that your product is at the top of that search for when people are Googling to buy it, in theory. So that's kind of the breakdown of Google versus Meta. What should I do? The short answer is Meta is great for a local audience, for giving people the idea of buying from you. Google's great for showing up and when people are looking to buy that thing. From a money standpoint, is one more effective than another? Like I said, trying both is really kind of the best bet to figure out which one's going to work best for your farm. There's not really a clear delineation, but we are always happy to talk with anyone through those questions and, about your specific farm, and see if we feel like, based on our experience, one might be a better route to try first. But are they right for your farm? The question is, do you have the groundwork laid? Do you have your website set up? Is it really clear how you buy things? Do you have volume of product? Ads really should be, run for 3 months before they see their full maturity. So if you're trying to push a product that you're going to sell out of in a month through your other sales channels, it might not be worth it for you to run ads on that product. You want a volume of product that meets kind of the volume of outreach that you're doing. Are you able to keep your inventory up to date? I think that's just a really honest look at your own logistics and your own workflow. If you don't have an e-commerce piece really dialed in yet, that's fine. But I would say that you don't want to be running ads for products you don't have in stock. And you definitely don't want people clicking to the ads and being frustrated because that data then is going to go back to Meta and Google and reflect poorly, and they're going to ding your ads for them. And then the cost of ad spend, we find most farms do really well with a $500 to $1,000 a month ad spend, depending on which geographic range they want to target. 500 would be closer to like, I don't know, like a county level, and then 1,000 would be more like a statewide level. And like I said, you want to run your ads for at least 3 months. If you're just trying to boost a quick thing like a sale or something for, this week, I would do a boosted post rather than an ad. The idea of the ad is that people will see them many times and then act and warm up that cold audience. But yeah, like I said, ads are not a quick fix solution to moving a lot of product that you maybe have in stock, or a quick fix to just connecting with this new audience that has never heard of you and might not buy from you. That being said, the Google ads really are kind of connecting with a new audience that hasn't heard of you. And so there is some legwork you have to do to win over those customers when they do land on your website. And we'll talk about that. So skipping down to my last, I guess skipping up to my first bullet point here. So Google ads, you're putting your product where people are buying it. So you have to explain your farm. They don't know who you are. They don't know why your product is, maybe 10% more expensive than the competitor. So you really have to have on all of your product pages on your ads, details about your farm, what you're selling is raised, what your growing practices are, and giving a lot of reassurance that it's going to be fast and easy to buy, that your company is trustworthy, why they should buy from you, things like that. We want to, really ensure confidence when the person lands on your page that they're going to buy something that's of high quality and it's going to be easy and simple. Sam has a question. Let's hear it.
Oh, okay. Thanks. If one has their webpage dialed in and their online sales platform dialed in, to use these two methods you're talking about, and you don't have social media really going yet, do you have to kind of have a Facebook page or something to use Meta or an Instagram page? Or can you just direct them directly to your web page and not worry about the social media?
Great question. I would have at least a basic social profile set up because you don't want them clicking there and it being non-existent. You can run ads without a social profile. It just looks a little sketchy. People are definitely going to trust more if they can click into it and it shows people have given it reviews and you're posting things and it's clear you're a real person and not just some company out of nowhere. But yes, you can definitely do Google ads without social media. But yeah, I think as a marketing company, a lot of people think we're going to try and convince them to do more organic social media than we really ever do. So having a basic social presence is really, I think it's supportive, but we're not really in the mindset of you have to go all out for it to make an impact, if that makes sense. So my answer is you don't have to, but I would.
Thanks.
Cool. That's a good question. Yeah. And I guess the other question that one might have is, do I have to sell things online for this to work? You don't. You can have calls to action that don't really have anything to do with selling online. Like this client we worked with here, the call to action, this ad is follow us on social media because they wanted to build a really big social media following so that they would hear about their events or their upcoming offerings and things like that, and just build an audience that they could future target to. We've also worked with clients who sell wholesale, and they're promoting wholesale sign up form where someone will then reach out after someone fills it out and get in touch with them. We've done ads where it's like a waiting list for a product, like a CSA share or something, where you're asking for a sign up, and then there's a follow up. The most data you're going to get is with an e-commerce product with the pixel, and people are buying, and then you know exactly your revenue per ad spend, and that's really a really strong way to do it. But do you need to sell things online to do it? No. I've also run plenty of ads for events, and they're very effective for promoting events. And yeah, you could just do an awareness campaign if you wanted at first to start. But I think having a clear call to action that sells is a good opportunity to take advantage of. What else do I have to say? Another tip for Google Ads would be like thinking about what keywords you want to focus on. We all Google things differently, but there's kind of these 4 standard categories that Google keywords fall under, where Google is assuming your intent when you Google something. So they kind of break it down into like, are you just Googling this for a science fair project? Are you Googling it because you're interested in purchasing and you want to weigh your options? Or are you Googling because you want to buy that thing right now? And so our recommendation and what we do for our clients is to target the I want to buy that right now. I personally think there's a lot of opportunity to capture the informational and the commercial audiences through SEO by having articles on your website. Like, what does it mean to be pasture raised, or like why we feed our chickens XYZ, or things like that. And then put your advertising money towards the transactional keywords. Cool. Just admitting this guest. Cool. So yeah, Meta and Google Ads, those are kind of the main things. You have everything set up, you know you want to do it. It seems like an attractive way to bring a lot of people into your funnel. You're thinking, okay, my farm, like I need new customers. I have a plan for engaging them long term. Sounds good. You really have the considerations of doing it yourself or hiring a professional, and both are really good options. I think they're going to be different for everyone. As farmers, we want to, or we get stuck, who knows, doing everything ourselves, because it's, usually much easier to learn how to do the thing than to go out and find someone who can do it for us, right? But with advertising, it's the same thing. It's really, do you want to hire the electrician or like run the wiring yourself? It's a really specialized skill set, and it is really complicated. And if this error page is like causing you stress, just seeing those red triangles on there, like that's maybe some indication you should hire a pro. The platforms are not intuitive. They're not user-friendly. And so are you willing to troubleshoot? Like, are you willing to learn the platforms? And are you willing to like spend the time to really set it up and learn the platforms, is the question. And we've worked with a lot of clients that are, and we work with them by creating a campaign. And then after 2 months, we'll train them on the platform. And then from there, they can take it and go and do updates to it and things like that. So there's kind of like the in-between step of like hiring a pro, but also asking them to train you how to do it, which is a really good option. So that's kind of just from our experience, what we've seen. Ads are not really something you just post and then forget about. We're constantly looking at the ads that we're running and dialing them in, looking at the data, trying to understand how we can, earn our farmers more money. And so it's not something you kind of just set and forget. You do have to keep checking on it and watering it and weeding it and all that stuff too. So I have some QR codes here. If anyone would like to see our pricing or our packages or schedule a call, I'd be happy to talk with anyone. One interesting thing is we're always happy to work with people about including marketing or advertising and grants. So if you have a grant that you want to apply for and you want to know like, okay, what should I do? how much would it cost? And will you write me a letter of support? We're always happy to do that for free. And yeah, just excited to talk with people and support you and bringing the beautiful things that you make out into the world. And there's also lots of free resources out there, especially on our website. We have some resources about ads and all that, so please check them out. Any questions? And there's my email if you want me directly. And Eric has reappeared.
My email as well.
Yes.
Go ahead, Dan.
Okay, so I had used Meta ads, excuse me, previously. I don't know, let's say between 2018 and 2021. And they seem to have gotten less effective over time. And so I told myself I'm not giving them any more of my money at all going forward because the ads have got less effective in my opinion. But also, like, I'm not an expert at the marketing stuff, and so maybe the barrier to entry is just a lot higher now than it used to be. Can you comment on that? Like, I'm potentially, like, if I could get the reach and the results I want for a decent cost, I'm open to it, to giving them my money again, but I guess I'm leery. So can you comment on that?
Totally. Knowing nothing about what your ads were or anything like that, it's a little hard, but I wonder if you're like, what's coming up for me is, were you targeting the same audience, or like something has, many things have changed in that timeline. So it does seem like adjusting to kind of their modern expectations or how they target people would be important. Yeah. You weren't running ads continuously, or did you try to like reactivate old ads or start new ads?
I mean, this was quite a while ago, so I don't remember, but what I do remember is that they were, I can't even remember if they were boosted posts or ads proper, but the purpose of them was to to warm up people to our CSA share, to get people to sign up for our CSA. My memory of it is like, you could throw $100 at Facebook and you could get 5-6 signups or something like that, like totally worth it in my opinion. And you get others that would be interested or whatever. And I had ran an actual ad, not boosted posts, and I maybe spent, I don't know, $100 to $200 on it a couple of years ago. And I thought it was like a decent ad that kind of like, it wasn't like just immediately trying to sell the CSA share. It was trying to introduce folks to us, get them to sign up to our email list, those kinds of things. And like the traction is not great. And I was like, this was a total waste of money. So yeah, I don't know. And then I guess I have one other follow-up. It's like, I've kind of stepped away from my personal social media.
Great.
And so the meta ads are great for folks that are still on there, but what about people like me? Like, how do I get people like me that are like, I'm kind of done with social media?
Yeah, no, I think that's a really big trend right now, is a lot of people, choosing not to be on it. But unfortunately, the share of people on it is still way out competing the amount of us who aren't checking it as much. Email marketing, like if there was one recommendation that I would give every single farmer in the world, is like have a really strong email marketing program. Like that's also the list that you control. Like, doing any business with Meta or Google, you're really at the mercy of their algorithms and then also their cost for advertising, right? Whereas with email, the platforms have a cost and things like that, but you own those contact lists. So that's like a really, really good way to, nurture those relationships. But it sounds like you probably already have that dialed in. There's other options too. You can do things like, supporting your local public radio or supporting your local news and running ads. A newspaper article or a newspaper ad could be really beneficial if your goal is to support, like media with values that are in alignment with yourself. Like there are lots of other options. The trick is you're not going to be able to measure your ROI on those.
At least as easily. So, but Dan, I wanted to, we did, Dan, I don't know if you participated in or if you were a member owner yet, but we had a FMPP or some local food promotion grant where whenever the grant started, which it was like a 2-year grant, so maybe you weren't here yet, but member owners could participate. They got up to $3,000 in marketing expenses reimbursed. And the idea was, hey, let's try different ways of marketing local farm food. And then we navigated them away from Meta and Google ads because we felt like, I don't know. So a lot of farms tried a lot of different things. And as far as tracking, which is, I'm sorry, I don't know if you Mary, but I wanted to I figured you sounded like you're wrapping up. But anyway, the tracking was the hardest part of those. But the way we did it was farms, all their promotions had a distinct promo code associated with them on their GrownBy page. And so, for example, like one farm made yard signs and sent out flyers. And so the flyers that they sent for mailing, which cost way less than $1,000, like the ad campaign or whatever, that had a specific promo code that the person could choose to enter. Of course, they would have to remember to enter it, but it was like $10. So like if someone's going to buy your stuff, they'll probably enter a promo code to save themselves $10. And then the yard sign had a different promo code. So that was one way they did it. And then the other things people did, so the mailers, the yard sign, someone sponsored like a local theater company, like one of the sponsors at the bottom of the pamphlet, and they got to like say hi. And someone did a local public radio ad that cost them like $300, but like everybody in their county like was fed that ad over the course of like a month, whoever listened. And like that seemed like the money because video ads are cheap because no one does it. So if you're lucky enough to have a local radio station that like is not owned by some mega conglomerate or like is still open to working with a small farm or a small business, like that might be actually like, that was the one of all the things people did. That was the one that I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
They helped them the ad. It was $300.
Yeah. Those are great
idea,
ideas.
Yeah. The idea is that you would kind of have a program, right, where you're not doing just one thing and you're trying to reach people in lots of different places.
You probably would have more success, but it would be more effort than like pushing buttons on your phone like a monkey to give Facebook money, and they know that, of course. Right. But you know, if you work a little harder, I bet you can get more effort, more outcome, and probably reach more of the people you want to reach, right? I just think about for our flower farm, like, why would I run an ad on Facebook to just like anybody in Minneapolis or just like general? I know you can target it, but just somebody on the internet who has no idea about anything. Or like, what if I spent extra time like making sure everybody who came to my farmers market booth walked away with a flyer for next season CSA in August and September, which I still haven't done. Yeah. Right? Like that's going to sell way more CSAs than $1,000 in Facebook's pocket. So
yeah, the one-on-one conversation is always going to be the first, most effective piece. And then, connecting with people who might be most likely to support you. Yeah. And Dan, your question of like, have they gotten less effective? I think that the answer to that is like so much has changed. It probably isn't that I wouldn't say they're less effective, but the way they track data has changed in that time frame. And so they are guessing a lot on clicks and things like that. And so I think that might be more kind of what you're seeing is like that shift in their data collection, if that makes sense. And just so much changes all the time. It's a little maddening.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I'm becoming a dinosaur with technology. I used to be good at it and not anymore.
That's okay. We're all going to be there with you pretty soon, I think.
At that point, is there is TikTok like would a farm ever put money into TikTok? I mean,
we don't have any experience working with TikTok or doing TikTok.
Yeah, we're all dinosaurs here.
Yeah.
All right, sorry, Katie, you had your arm up.
I gotta unmute there. I just want to chime in on this because I have been running more ads more recently than the 2017, 2018. And I agree that it has changed, but to Mary's point that she just talked about data, I think one of the biggest benefits of both Google and Meta's ads is that the longer you run them, the more data they gather. And I think this is one of the big benefits of doing what Mary called the background ads versus the boosted posts. The more data that they gather, the more able they are to target exactly who is interested in the things that you have. And so like Google ads, if they are searching local food near Rochester, Minnesota, you know, you can show up in that Google ad and you know that they are already searching out what you offer, whatever that may be. Facebook ads, it does, if you don't have if you don't have a lot of visitors to your website or you don't have a big social media presence, it can take longer for them to figure out who those people are. But I think it was you, Dan, that was just talking about the like running an ad for $100 or $200 when you haven't run an ad for a long time. Facebook doesn't know exactly who to target. And so there is a learning curve where it's taking time to gather that data. Now, if you had said, I'm going to run it, 500, I think Mary said $500 to $1,000 in ads, which is completely consistent with what I see with the farms that I work with. If you were going to do that for 3 to 6 months, by then Facebook would have so much data that your ads would just be killing it, probably. I mean, there's no guarantee, but doing a one-off ad like that, you're right, it doesn't work. And maybe it used to work like that. It doesn't work anymore. But if you stick with it for a while and it can gather that data, that's huge. And going back to the other options, like Eric said, I love when I see farms that are, that are supporting local events, or like the theater example that you mentioned. But you don't know if people at the theater give a rip about local foods either. You know what I mean? They care about the theater, but they may not care at all about buying directly from your farm. And so it seems like Facebook ads especially seems like a big investment to get to the point where they have enough data to really target people. But once they do, they can really show it to the people who are more likely to make purchases. And I think it gets more effective over time. I hope that Mary, I don't want to step on your toes at all, but I hope that experience helps. That's what I've seen with both our platform and also the other farms that I work with. So.
Thank you, Katie. Yeah, I think also the retargeting piece, maybe I could explain a little bit better, is there are ways to show your ad to all the people who've gone to your website over the last year. Or maybe you made a cute video about your family farm and you posted it and everyone in your community shared it and lots of people saw it. You can retarget, show your ad to all the people who viewed that video for more than 10 seconds or something like that. So there, yeah, like Katie said, there are ways to use that data to be strategic about who you're showing it to, for sure.
And I would also say that if you are a good fit for Google ads, like Mary kind of talked about, what might make you a good fit for Google ads can bring people to your website the first time. And then Facebook ads can retarget them and get them to see it that 7 to 9 times or whatever it might be, so that they will come back and actually make a purchase. Because we know that not everybody that comes to the website makes a purchase the first time that they come. But if they continue to see you and your offers and what makes you special through those Facebook ads, or there are some ways through Google to do it too, that it just all compounds. And that's what I don't want anybody to walk away from this thinking that I tried it once and it didn't work. It really is a compounding system that has a lot of different pieces that can be super effective.
Which is why we all have Premier One supplies showing up on our Facebook feed, because we were Googling it and clicked a Google ad or something 3 months ago when we needed to get some poultry netting. Yeah, makes sense.
Yep. I will also say it's really complicated. So, the idea of having somebody like Mary help you set it up and then get trained on it and go from there. I think it's really hard for farmers to do it on their own effectively too.
Thank you, Katie. Any other questions, situations? We can use this as a mind meld, give you advice. Thoughts, curiosities? Well, thank you so much. And thank you, Eric, for putting this together with me. We, have our contact info there because we definitely welcome you to follow up with us. And like I said, happy to work with you to write a letter of support for grants, or if you want to, maybe in November, you want to put together your budget for the next year and you want to know how much you'd like to, budget for marketing, I'd be happy to help with that. Yeah, happy to talk.
Thank you, Mary. Thanks everybody for coming.
Thank you. I'll talk to you all later.